साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। Sai Ram, and wishing everyone a wonderful, wonderful evening on this Sunday, the 17th of January. Everyone should have been euphoric with the sports meet having been completed, and those of you who got to see it should have had the bliss of being there. And as always, it's nice to have his students, his property with us every Sunday. And we have one such wonderful person who I saw a photograph of Swami pouring something into his mouth, and I can just feel the process of what it should have been when that moment happened. And he's here to share all the same with us. And I'm going to let Brother Pawan do the honors of introducing his fellow year mate from Brindavan to all of us. Over to you, Brother Pawan.
Yeah, thank you, Sairam all. Wish you all a happy new year. Let's pray to Swami that the vaccine which is rolled out and we started in India yesterday, hopefully will stop this corona pandemic and more satsangs can be done not on a digital way but on a face-to-face and people get to travel. With this note, it's really a great honor and very humbled and it gives me privilege to introduce one of my classmates, uh, Sri Vineet Basotia, and he has joined Brindavan in the year 1994 in the Bachelor's of Commerce in Brindavan College. Vineet Basotia, when he joined our college in Brindavan, what I could notice, what I could recollect, very, very memorable and inspirational moments which I have noticed in him and spark where he had a service in his mind and as well as in soul to do something extra. So as vividly and I recollect, we had Brindavan stores, which is just opposite Sai Ramesh Hall, and we all know that that stores is common for both students as well as for devotees. And in Prashantanilam, if you see the students stores is inside the campus, that means only confined to only the students, but Brindavan is not like that. Yeah, can you imagine like a person who has come to study will always say, okay, I want to study, why I have to do extra work, right? Like is any other person. But Vineet Basotia brother is not like that. He has been working in the stores, in Vrindavan stores under Sri Ruchir Desai sir, who was in charge for the stores. And can you imagine a person who is attending the stores in the morning and then coming out to the college? That means first is doing the Swami service by serving the devotees of the persons who are coming to Sai Ramesh Hall and doing the purchases. They all quickly serve those devotees, wind up the stores, and then come to the college. If that is the motive has been given by direction by Swami, that service first and later on everything, which I think that path has been is kind of a motivation in his life, and he has not only completed the BCom honors from Brindavan, but also he has done his MBA as well as his Swami has directed him to do a fellowship research, and also he has done his research in Prashantanilayam. And one more aspect of Sri Vineet Basotia, I also very clearly remember his attitude towards the togetherness and bonding for any kind of services which involves uh, the work as well as the planning. So if you understand that we had recently the silver jubilees and golden jubilee celebrations in Brindavan, Sri Vineet Basotia was one of the key members to speak on behalf of all the students community and along with the teachers to come up with the mega planning sessions. So he had been as an anchor in Swami's activities in various ways, which has now he has been as a one of the icon for as inspirational icon to all the brothers under our own classmates, not only our classmates but also our juniors. So we all look up to him for any kind of new service activities to take up to improve as a seva in either in hospitals or in hostels or any other swamis kind of activities. So this kind of attitude towards his service, I think is none other than but a chosen instrument by Swami, who has given this inspiration to him. So with these words, I would request Mr. Vivek, brother, to share his few notes on Mr. Vineet Basotia, and then we give the mic to Sri Vineet Basotia. Over to Vivek.
Sai Ram to all of you. And it is indeed a proud moment as an alumni from Brindavan. We call ourselves the BVN 97, a group of alumni who graduated in 1997. We all came from different walks of life. And as Swami used to call Dr. Vineet, the Assam Boy. The Assam Boy came in 94. And we were all fortunate to be a part of the same batch. And as Pawan has mentioned, service has been a motto that Vineet has been carrying on, and not only during his academic life, but post his Ph.D, he has been carrying on these service activities in different ways throughout his corporate career. So I believe his specialty is data analytics, and he has been with GE for some time, for quite a few years, and now with another data analytics company called T. And apart from that, as Pawan has said, service activities. And one such service activity that he has been instrumental in is the formation of what is called as a catalyst program. And this is a program that is to help a lot of students who graduate from the Sathya Institute in assisting and mentoring them and in guiding them towards a corporate path. So, giving them the exposure to corporate interviews, the MBA students getting into right placement cells, so on and so forth. And above all, once we get into this corporate or the mundane world, we tend to forget the core principles that Swami has taught us, which is service to mankind. But Vineet has been, I would say, a bridging gap for all of us to update us on different activities that happen as part of the Sathya Sai Central Trust or as alumni, where we could all contribute and chip in different ways that is possible in in following the principles that Swami has always asked us to practice. So that is something that has been a forte of Vineet, and I'm thankful that he has accepted to come and speak to us in this satsang. Thank you so much, Vineet, and yes, over to you. Looking forward to hearing you.
Sairam everyone. And first of all, my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Every opportunity to speak about experiences of being in Swami's institution or any association with Swami or just the thoughts about Swami, I think is just not possible unless he wills it. So I firmly believe that this is his will that I'm able to share some thoughts today. Two of my brothers and my batchmates have been extremely gracious in introducing me. And in fact, I just realized when they were introducing me a few years back, I also got an opportunity to speak in another Samarpan session. And one of my seniors had introduced me. And his name is Krishnamurti. When he was introducing, I was thinking, now I have to stand up to this expectations, because the bar is raised really high. And Pawan and Vivek, thank you so much, because I think as we all live through our lives and our journeys, we know that the roots and the anchor is all in Swami. So whatever we have become or we have done is, all the ropes are in his hand. I think you both have been very, very gracious in the introduction as such. I was thinking today that I know this is a small gathering and probably not a very formal speech or a dialogue. It is more of some thought sharing, and just some time back I was reflecting, how do I navigate through this? But then I eventually said that, okay, just like every other occasion, let's just leave it in Swami's hand. But one thing which came in my mind a little resounding, and was the fact that we all in our lives have been witness to a different kind of magic. This magic is so deep, and it knocks our door many a times when we don't even expect what to expect actually. And I was just reflecting in this last 1 year, and I can go back in time, which I will do in a bit. uh, this year itself, the 2020, when the world is going through so much of uncertainty, a pandemic of proportions which no one anticipated, a lot going on in the world, and everybody's life is, upside down. I have been observing the ways in which, the Sai family has coped up with this. And the stories are innumerous. In Bangalore, I think there are stories where people just brave the weather, the climate, helped migrant population. The students, have been going through a very different kind of routine. We recently witnessed the Prem Bandhamam, program where people got very creative. In fact, I feel that this last year kind of really triggered so much more connection, so much more networking, so much more heart to heart talking, and so much more understanding, feeling, and empathy between the Sai family. So that was something which I felt is a different kind of a magic which hit all of us, right? And for me personally also, it's been a very unique year, right? So my the company where I used to work for, G Healthcare, was going through some ups and down. Even before I knew what was coming my way, some hard things coming my way, out of the blue I landed up in a different job. And when you look back, you realize that even before we know and we plan, there is a bigger power which is planning all our lives. And I when I say that, the year which just went by is one testimony, but the bigger testimony is probably all our lives. And that's how I also feel when I talk today. And the chapters of our lives, the different nuances of the magic and the bigger play is really, really so deep. Many years back, like 1994, when Pawan and Vivek talked about, I joined Swami's, college. I joined as somebody who was very agnostic. In fact, someone who just got to know about Bhagwan, whose family wasn't even devotees. I was someone who's like, come, okay, there is one college in Bangalore. Why don't I try this out? Maybe this will work good for me. Oh, Sai Baba is the chancellor of the university. That's great. But I did not have that thought process that, I'm going to be embarking on a journey which is going to really change my life, and it is going to become such a big powerful incident in my life that everything else henceforth is going to be defined by that. So that's how my journey started. It didn't just start in a way that a family of devotees put their son to study in Swami's college. It started more, someone who's looking for education, hunting for a college, knocking the doors of few colleges, landing up in Swami's college, probably finding it economically the best fit, and then getting into this fold. And from that day onwards, when I got admission, till today, the number of incidents, events, either directly as an interaction with Swami or in a little bit of a, in a gameplay, in a way he does it. You don't know it directly, but you get to know it later that what happened. There have been so many such incidents. Most of the time when I get an opportunity to share something, all the different aspects of Swami uh, come in almost like bombarding in my mind, right? Like, do I go the path of like Swami correcting us? Do I go the path of Swami embracing us and loving us like a mother? Do I go the path of, Swami being a friend and really guiding us? So many aspects come in, right? So sometimes it becomes difficult, then which piece do we pick up? um, but I'll share few thoughts on that one aspect of Swami almost being like a friend, because as a student you get some of those opportunity which are lighter moments. They aren't like intense moments, but you just realize that there are so many learnings in light moments also, right? um, One incident which comes up in my mind was in my first year MBA. In the first year MBA, I suddenly realized that I wasn't the most sportive kind. So I used to not be somebody who's like very participative in like tennis and football and cricket. I used to play some, but I realized that I started gaining a lot of weight. And I was probably, becoming much more fatter than I thought I should be. So that was running in my mind in those days. And then I realized, oh, this is like, in a hostel environment, generally friends are very candid and they will not mind telling you if you grew fatter, so I remember people starting to pass comment that, hey, what's going on? Vineet, you're bloating up. Have you crossed 70 kg? Have you crossed 75 kg? And I suddenly took it on myself that, oh, this is not good. I don't look good becoming fat, so I should do something about it. So I started dieting. So I decided that every night for dinners, I will eat just one chapati. And that is probably what I'll have. And then I'll not eat something till, early morning. And it wasn't easy because, we were used to eating rice 2 times a day, the lunch and the dinner. Suddenly diverting to that one chapati and also giving a skip to the morning tea and ragi wasn't easy. So when you start doing something like this, like you can imagine in a family situation, you would expect people to reinforce your belief, right? Like they will come back and say that, hey, we are noticing you are doing this, is working well, is working good for you. But in the hostel, like it's a bigger community, and I realized that 1 week went by, nobody noticed much, and I realized that another week went by and nobody noticed much. But I was like very insistent that I continue to do what my stuff. Uh, and then some after a few weeks, a little bit of a frustration grew that I've been trying this, I don't think I became very thin, I don't think I lost too much of weight, so what's going on? So that kind of a, it almost like a childish thought, like you're young in college, and you're kind of, it's not the problems, the big problems of the world, right? I wasn't worried about some Swami comes and helps in many things like parents health and bigger problems, but this was like more of a small problem. So even in my wildest imagination, I did not think that this problem is going to actually matter to anybody else. It was just my problem. I'm dieting and I'm not getting any reinforcement from my roommates and my friends and everybody else. So uh, in that kind of mindset, one day I was sitting for an evening darshan. And then in those days, Swami used to come out in Parthi on the portico. Bhagya sir used to be mostly sitting in one corner, and used to talk a lot to Bhagya sir, and he used to invariably speak a lot with the MBA students who used to be sitting there. So somehow we used to get some good spots. He had talked to me a few times, and one day he had asked me to carry the letters and sit near the interview room. But it wasn't that he was talking to me every day, so I wasn't sitting there with any expectation, even in my like wildest dreams that Swami is going to talk to me today. So I was probably in some corner, sitting and in my own thoughts. And suddenly, out of the blue, I see that someone has nudged me. Go, like Swami is calling you, or someone like gave me two nudges. And I was almost like baffled that, oh, really? Yeah, Swami is calling me. So I go up and I go near Swami, and he was talking to someone else, and I kept like kneeling down and sitting near me. I actually wasn't even sure that he's going to like talk to me. And then while talking to some of the teachers, he suddenly like turns around and he says, "Khana nahi khata ajkal, itna dieting karta hai. Why are you not eating? This will not help you. You need to really maintain health." And he told me so many things about health and diet and food, and it all came like pouring down on me. So as if you know he like no one noticed, but he noticed what I was doing. So I not only got the reinforcement of a good friend or somebody who is like bothering about you, I also got some really good guidance that what should I probably be doing. And it kind of really struck to me in that moment that there is something so much more deeper here, right? If we just go with this feeling that no one is worried about us, or nobody is bothered about us, or no one cares, if that feeling ever comes in our mind, at least we need to remember that there is a much more powerful uh, being, our friend, our God, who's constantly worried about us. And he's going to surprise us that not just how much he's worried, but how much he's making our paths smoother and better, right? This one incident stayed in my mind as a very, very kind of a solace giving incident, in my life. And down the line, similar smaller events actually taught me bigger things. At some point of time, then we got into like Swami used to talk to us a lot while I was doing my PhD. In fact, he took care of the fact that in the last year of a PhD, we all were sent to Bombay to meet a lot of corporate executives. The full trip of like 3 weeks in Bombay was planned by the Samiti in Bombay and all devotees of Swami, and Swami would check every day that what is going on, when are we going, what's happening, what's not happening, and all that stuff. And it was five of us. We all made a trip to Bombay during our last year of PhD days. Uh, every day when we were in Bombay, we used to write letters to Swami, and we used to, hand it over. It was the Samiti president in Bombay, and then letters used to go to Swami, uh, and I was not the kind of a person who was like meticulous that every day I'll write. I knew some of my colleagues and good friends who are now also good friends, and they actually, few of them are in Parthi, would do it like diligently every day. Uh, Especially there was time for 3 or 4 days when I did not write a letter, and then I wrote like later on and all that stuff. And it was like little bit of me, which was me writing this letter, or me just thinking about Swami. What's the difference? Does this letter like really get read by Swami every day or not? And then kind of a connecting incident to the previous one. We came back from Bombay, and Swami called us and he was inquiring how the full trip went and who all we met. In fact, those PhD days, there were so many interactions where he would even know when our synopsis got over, when our PhD got over, about our guide, multiple interaction on what are your findings. In fact, one of my colleagues and brother was doing a PhD a little bit more on the literature of Mahabharata. Amount of insights Swami used to give him were like wonderful. But in this incident, when we came back from Bombay and he was inquiring about, who you met, what happened, he went pretty much around everyone. And when my opportunity came, I said something to the effect of that, Swami, thank you so much for sending us there. And I got to do so much of work. I collected literature, I collected this. And, I met, in fact, some of the big industry people who are even now like Mr. Ratan Tata, many of those people we have met. So I was telling Swami, and then Swami said that 3 days you did not write letter. And those days you were not feeling well. What happened to you? Or your mood went off, or you were thinking Swami reads letter or not. So it again struck to me that uh, when he is caring for us, when he is sending us, though nobody set an expectation that everybody write a letter, maybe he is worried, just like a mother, right? So he's worried. So that that small sentence, just like, he didn't even like wait for me to respond. So he passed it on, he landed it on me, and I think he left it for me to embrace that sentence, understand the effect of it, understand the realization of that. And some of these things, you actually take your sometimes many years and even a life to realize what was it, right? So that is how it left me with that. So we cannot dealing ourselves with God by smaller gestures. He's always observing us. If he has adopted us, if he cares for us, you can't delink yourself. Everything which is happening in your life is absolutely linked. It is connected. Every step is getting guided. You may realize today, or you may realize after a month, like I realized when I came back and I got that a personal engagement. But in many ways, you will realize that how it is all connected. Still, like small instances, impactful instances remains in your heart, remains as a part of your being, right? And I think in the pictures which I send, and this is a little bigger incident. So I think Brother Venkat, you mentioned in the early stage. So I'll talk about that incident also, the one where Swami is feeding me something, and making me drink water, and then he made me have some vibhuti. It was again a third year of PhD. That year Swami was, if I'm not wrong, is 2002. Swami had gone to Kodaikanal the previous year, and there was a plan that Swami will go to Kodaikanal, but it was a little iffy plan. Nobody knew whether Swami is really going to Kodaikanal, but we all who were doing our PhD were waiting in Brindavan, because what we were told is that don't go home, and if Swami goes to Kodaikanal, mostly you all are going with him to Kodaikanal. But that year Swami didn't go to Kodaikanal, and then while we were staying in Brindavan in the Gokulam, it also kind of, this incident shows the way you need to look at it is the light of the fact, similar to like the previous two incidents, like the devotee or the child can have their doubts. You can have your ifs and buts and all the confusions, but the God is always there. So I got very sick. I think people thought I probably have malaria or cholera or I don't know what, but it was a kind of sickness that every evening I would have high fever, and I would get impacted by that. And uh, at some point, the hostel doctor and the general hospital doctor saw me. They told me blood test, etc. They didn't find anything big, but they realized that something is not wrong, not right, and I'm not well at all. And this thing was going on. There was a opportunity at that point. If you're not well, you can go and tell Swami and give a letter. So I knew that I had that opportunity, but I didn't do it. I didn't go and give a letter. I didn't tell Swami. I would most of the times evenings I wouldn't make it to the mandir, or sometimes I'll make it. And then one evening suddenly we heard the next day morning Swami is going for a day trip to Nagarhole. It's a jungle resort near Bangalore. So it's a 5 hours drive, and there was this gentleman, I think who was an IAS officer. He was arranging the whole trip. So we knew that anyways, maybe Korea trip is not happening this year, but Swami is going for this 1 day trip. And the people who were selected were a lot of the teachers, Brindavan teachers, some Parthi teachers, and some 7 or 8 of the PhD students who were going with Swami. So I was one of them. And we were told that next day morning we need to be like really ready at 5:30, and the cars will leave from inside. It was a little because long road trip. It wasn't even known. Like people who were going got to know only the previous evening. And I, with my health condition, I was like, oh, maybe I can't even do this, or how do I do it? And then my students, PhD students said that, Vineet, you can't miss this. It's such a big opportunity. How can you? And there was one friend of mine, is very well known. I think recently he was anchoring the Prem Bandhamam, Dibyajyoti Das. He was also the band leader at that point. So he was a good friend. He kept telling me that there are ways, you can take some ginger, you can take this some medication, some natural thing, and we will sit with you. Don't worry, take some paracetamol. I was so weak. I was like, I don't even know whether I can sustain the whole road trip. But he gave me enough motivation that I go there. So we went on the trip. After 5 hours, we reached, the jungle resort. There was a jeep safari planned. There were people who were supposed to go and see elephants and all that stuff. So we were in a small kind of a arena which had Swami's room was there, and uh, we got to know that Swami is going to come for lunch, and then Swami is going to go and take some rest, and then we all are going to go for the trip, which is in different jeeps and all that stuff. We're not staying overnight. By night we're going to go back to Brindavan, but all that was planned. So when the lunch was going on, I suddenly, it struck me that I'm feeling really, really weak. So I just hid in one corner. I didn't come out at all. And the thought which was going on in my mind is that, Swami has come here only for one day. All these people are like waiting to be near Swami. I should not be a distraction. I should not be some kind of a nuisance in this gathering. I should just probably keep away. I don't even know why did I come. So I had all that kind of apprehension about myself that, I'm landing up here creating some nuisance, and why not like people just be there. So the lunch got over. I could hardly eat anything. I had some curd rice, and then everybody went and sat near. There was a jhula kind of a thing made, and Swami went and sat there, and everybody sat near Swami. I kept hidden. Believe me, in my mind, it was that Swami has not even seen me today, whole day. So there's, my compelling thought in my mind was, if he sees me, he's going to think, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he looking so shabby and sick? So I should not even show my face to Swami. That is how I was thinking. Suddenly, out of the blue, I hear Swami calling out, "Where is Assam Boy?" And then I was right in the back, not even showing my face to Swami. So I get up, and then the teachers in the warden like start calling me, "Swami's calling, Swami's calling," and I go up there, and I think then, like as if time froze, I went near Swami, and he talked to me. I don't remember the exact word, but he talked to me very, very lovingly. Then he said to the effect that you think you are sick and Swami does not know. You think that Swami does not care for you. I don't know what you need. To that effect. I don't know the exact words, but to that effect. And this picture which I shared, Sundareshan sir had taken it then. And then I almost put my head on his lap. Then he created Vibhuti and put a big kind of a chunk of Vibhuti in my mouth, and it was as if some medicine has hit me. It was tasting very, very unique, I would say, and very, very different. And then he took his water glass and he almost made me drink water from his glass, like till I finished the water. And then he told me, you can actually come to you come in the jeep and come and see the elephants and come and see animals. And then he started cracking some joke, as if when somebody is not well, you start telling some things to kind of cheer him up, right? That kind of a thing. So he started telling something about animals and all that stuff. And then I think that gathering broke, and I went in the to we went to the jungle trip. I remember I sweated and sweated and sweated, as if I've been cured of every ailment. In fact, Bhagya sir was there in that gathering, and when all this was going on, when Swami was putting vibhuti and making me drink water, suddenly Bhagya sir spoke up and he said, "Swami, this boy." Now I think the thought which came in my mind, he was saying that, "Swami, this is it. Like after this, what else does he need?" So I think it was something very gracious he said. And that evening when we drove back to Brindavan in the night, I felt as if I'm in the seventh heaven. I felt so light, so peaceful, and and again the learning which I carried in that moment, which remains with me throughout. Either it's a small incident or Swami, taking care of us directly in a situation where you're sick, is that how much he cares, how much he's around us, and how he's really working this much bigger, much bigger kind of a, uh, connecting the dots, or the magic around us. It was so powerful, and that again was something which really remained in my heart. I can go on. Just let me know how much time I can go on. I can share many more, like
You
some.
have plenty of time. Go ahead. At least
Okay.
5
Yeah.
minutes more. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was fine. And I'll continue this thread because it is a little personal thread. Some smaller incidents and some bigger incidents. And in every thread you see, in every incident, I'm just trying to pull up those incidents where we have our doubts, we have our apprehensions. But remember, God is much, much, much above that. He has thought of every possibility, and he is, aware of a much bigger reality, and he's playing it for you. And all these are like incidents which were happening when Swami was there. And I'll then come to some incidents in the recent years as well. I'll probably narrate one more, in the same line. This was after we finished our PhD. I had finished my PhD, and I got a, opportunity where there was a discussion going on that the students who finished PhD, when they should start teaching in in the college. So the vice chancellor at that point was Sri S.V. Giri, and Sri Lakshmi Nasimam was the registrar. And one day they had called us and they said that Swami is thinking that you all should be appointed as lecturers now, because it's been almost like 6 months or a year of PhD. You're teaching in the college, but you're not formally appointed as lecturers. So at that point, there was something going on in my family. It was tough times in my family, and I was keen to tell Swami that what my thoughts were. And my parents were very, very insistent. In fact, the whole journey of the PhD was something which they were not very supportive of initially, but Swami was, very clear. Assam boy, you do PhD, and I knew that I would just follow that. And after this PhD days, I was like, maybe I need to express to Swami that what my parents feel, right? So one day I wrote a letter. We had some opportunity to, if there's something very urgent and critical, you can go and pray to Swami and see if he can respond to your letter. So the Purnachandra Auditorium, there was a way to go and do that. So I went to Purnachandra Auditorium and I asked Sainath sir and Sainath brother, is there a chance, because this is I don't want a situation that we get appointed as lecturers and then I have to tell my thoughts to Swami that what my parents feel and what I should do. Is there a chance I can request that Swami takes my letter? So Sainath sir said that, see, I can go and like around 3:30 Swami comes down, I can check with him. I don't know what will be the answer. But I can check. So he just went back. And the moment he went back, he just came back again. I had not even moved from there, like almost in a minute or two. Looks like Swami just came down the staircase at that point. And he told me, Vineet, come inside, Swami is calling you. Now that was unexpected, unbelieved. And I didn't even think that I will probably have just written a letter and I would get called inside. When I went inside, I saw that the letter is just kept on Swami's table. It probably not even opened. And Swami is sitting there. Probably one of the most powerful incidents of my life, which gives me extreme confidence and strength even today. He started narrating from the time I joined the college. He said, your parents were not devotees. You took this decision. You came down. Now they respect Swami. I know what goes in their mind. He kind of went through my journey in the college, step by step, and then he kind of so much of love. It was so much of love. He kept saying, wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be with you. And I think I don't know the exact Telugu verbiage, but it is like above you, below you, beside you. I will be with you. I'll be all the time guiding you, whatever you do. And with that assurance, he told me that don't worry, go and do a job. I am going to be with you. In those, I think it was 18 to 20 minutes from the time Sainath sir came and this letter thing happened and the interaction I had. In those many minutes, only Bhagwan spoke. I was like a stunned spectator. And the amount of love which got poured on me, I realized that it's enough for a lifetime. It's so much of assurance and so much of this that I'll take care of you. I stepped out and I knew that the physical proximity and that kind of access will probably not remain same, but the spiritual assurance and the guidance that he's going to hold us and hold me in this incident for life would be like massive. And I came out, and I think from that moment, life has gone on. Like this is almost 18 to 20 years back. So many things have changed. In fact, one more incident I want to narrate at this point, which is very close to my heart, and I many times I bring it out. It's a little emotional incident, and again in the same line. Once more it had happened that when we had just joined our PhD. Uh, Generally, what happens is that you get a stipend when you join your PhD. So in those days, the stipend used to be uh, 800 rupees before we joined our PhD. And when we joined our PhD, it became 1,500 rupees, which was a big boost. So we thought we were the luckiest PhD boys ever. The stipend increased, and we felt that that's going to like really sustain as well. And in hostel and Puttaparthi, it can sustain you very well. The only thing is that you start getting your stipend when you finish your pre-PhD proposal is over and you get admitted in the hostel or some formal thing happens, and that's a kind of a 6 months period. So the stipend didn't start coming up. My parents were very upset that after the MBA, why am I doing PhD? So they kind of financially stopped supporting me, and that's a different track. Today they really believe in Swami and the whole world changed. But at that point of time, they were like, he had gone to study. He had done his BCom, he did his MBA. Now he's supposed to do a job and he's going to earn all his colleagues earning. And this guy has got into this 5-year PhD period. So they stopped financially supporting me. So I had very meager means, and I was of the kind of a mindset that I will not, uh, take help unless absolutely required. And we had some very intelligent classmates. So, we all had calculated many things at that point. And one thing which we calculated, that you can sustain yourself in Parthi if you have 10 to 12 rupees a day. Because, if you have 10 to 12 rupees a day and you're eating in the canteen, you can sustain yourself. So that math kind of worked out for me in a way that at some point when the math tilted a bit, I realized that I need to skip breakfast. So I need to skip breakfast and I have to have like a brunch kind of a thing. And if you have brunch, like 2 rotis or something, and you have dinner like this, some math worked out, but the net it was like 12 rupees a day math. And it was working. And honestly, there are batchmates of ours in those days who were so happy doing this and just waiting boys in Parthi that sometimes when a very good day will come out, they'll be happy. They'll spend the extra 2 rupees to eat a jalebi in North in the canteen. And some day which went like they were really happy, they'll think today we'll have a party in the North Indian canteen. So that is how, they were really happy days. I mean, they were, the finances didn't trouble us. It was more of like basics happiness. So I was sitting one day in the portico and, skipping the breakfast. And I had done it for a few days, and Swami's to do like some of those mornings. One group comes for interviews, goes. Another group comes for interviews, goes. Then goes, and very few people used to be there in the portico. We used to sit right in the front, and the PhD. We just got into PhD, so everybody like you all sit in the front. So we used to get that audience of sitting in the front. So we'll keep like suddenly Swami will come out for 3 minutes, talk to somebody, talk to Sai Surendranath. Today, what bhajans, this, that. Then take another group inside, and then he came out. Then, if a few of you remember, there is this, there is a, I would call it a moment of realization when Swami turns his head and gives you a sharp look in your eye, and you even if you imagine it now, you'll feel it. So that look pierces through your eye and goes to your heart. So I got that look that day, that morning, and then he said, come inside. So he called me. So I got up and I went inside. Net just counted not more than 2.5 minutes I would have been in the interview room. But in that 2.5 minutes, my life changed with a very, very powerful thing. He called me inside. He said, तुम ब्रेकफास्ट नहीं खाता है, खाना नहीं खाता है, अच्छा पेरेंट्स से पैसा नहीं लेना है, am I not your mother? And he goes and he gets a bundle of notes and puts it in my hand. And he puts it in my hand, and uh, it would hardly be 2.5 minutes or something. But the impact of the 2.5 minutes, when I think about it now, I even feel it on my hands today. So it was so powerful. So that is how he took care of us. What do you eat? When do you eat? Do you have money or not? How do you really like live your life? We think that he doesn't notice, and I had made my plan for 6 months that how will I sustain, but he had a different plan. So my 11 rupees plan suddenly got a boost. It it became a 30 rupee plan per day. So it got a boost. I got a stimulus actually. So that's what happened. Um, and today, obviously, many years have gone by, but after I got married, I have kids, I have a corporate job, very different scenarios, very different situations. But even today, I feel he doesn't stop doing this. He still cares as if he's caring for his children and he's caring for his kids. uh, One strange incident happened recently, and again, I'll narrate it in a way that it sometimes we are on a track where we are a little egoistic and we feel a little proud and we feel we know something, but he knows more than us. He knows better than us, and he will guide if you're open for guidance, right? A cousin of mine who I have recently met uh, came in contact with me, and at some point he stays in Kodaikanal, and it was so we just got, though he's my first cousin, we weren't very close for many years. We recently became very close. He said the term that he's staying in Kodaikanal. I visited him once. He visited me once, and we just got in touch. And then suddenly I got a call from him where he needed some financial help. So generally, when you don't know someone for many years and someone asks for financial help, you would think that, hey, am I like I won't quote the number of rupees he wanted or something, but it was a sizable amount. But because he's my cousin, I thought I need to do this, right? So I provided the financial help. And then I think obviously, he said that he's going to pay me back in a few weeks or so, which didn't happen. And generally, when such things happen, you know that, hey, someone needs financial help. They probably are going to it's going to get stretched. If it got stretched, it got stretched. Um, then you realize that oh, now there's probably time to put some pressure, right? So you probably want to ask the person that, hey, what's going to happen? And this is actually family, so you have to be very cautious as you're putting pressure. So one evening, I'm like, tomorrow morning I'll call this bhaiya and I'm going to tell him that, hey, now it's been like so long, are you going to return the money or what's going on? I'll probably bravely put up the conversation, right? That night I get a dream. Where Swami is in Kodaikanal, and we are like as if we are in some Kodai trip, and Swami is in the Kodai Mandir, and this cousin of mine comes into the mandir, and then Swami speaks to me, and he says, "Assam boy, don't trouble him. He is a very good man. He's my don't trouble him. Don't trouble him. He's very good. He's very good man. He's very good man." So I get up like stunned in the night, like this is just a year or two back. And then I'm like, oh, in the morning I was supposed to call him and ask back the financial help, but Swami is saying that don't trouble him. So maybe I'm not supposed to ask him the money back. It's a very small incident. That morning I suddenly get a call from this brother, and he says that, Vineet, I stay in Kodaikanal, just behind your Sai Baba's, mandir. For many years, me and my wife have been seeing the mandir, but we never went inside. You know, uh, but this morning, our troubles grew a bit. We are in some financial troubles, so I decided to go and pray to him. And I went in the mandir and I prayed to him. And I called you today to tell you that, see, this is the actual situation, and this is high, which is like absolutely irrelevant to me. What struck me is that he went to the mandir and he prayed to Swami, and I got a dream that don't trouble him, and just things just tied up in a way that I realized that, physically we are in a different situation today, right? We don't get that opportunity to just go and ask Swami or get guidance. But emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, there are so many ways he is in our lives, constantly helping us again and again, right? So uh, again, this is a small personal family situation, and those matters are fine. Like that brother, he comes now, we are all good. But the way Swami, this was an incident where I never thought Swami will actually even get in to guide me, but I got guidance in such a unique way, right? So that closes his relationship with us. He is in our mind, he's in our heart, he's in our subconscious, whether we realize or not. Everything, whether it's a business deal, whether it's a corporate interview, whether it is a talk for Sai devotees, or it's something's nowhere related to the Sai family. It is you're helping a maid in your house or someone. He is guiding a lot of those nuances which we probably don't even realize. And as we all, and I think many brothers have lived this as an example in their life, as we all go on, we will probably understand this magic more and more. I will probably stop there, but I want to read out a small poem I wrote actually on this birthday of Swami. So I'll end with that so that I kind of have in my term, my finale. Yeah, so I'll read this poem out, Brother Venkat and Vivek, if this fine. I wrote it on Swami's birthday this week. It kind of, uh, uh, you know, expresses my feelings and probably also uh, reflects on the way I have seen my relationship with Swami. Now, I'm not a good uh, narrator or reciter of poems, so you will have to have the patience as you hear through it. But I'll try to do my best. In the waking and the sleep, in simple smiles and meanings deep, you remain our guide of every step. O Master, you set us up for life's best prep. We know that smile, we know that glance, we know the pranks and the plans. It's simple and it's true. We know you oversee every joy that's due, days that shall flow in years to come. We know you guide the script, and then it becomes. We see your hand in matters that matter. We see the meanings when the dust settles. Keep the magic on, life shall flow, and we learn and we grow. Yes, we have more and more to learn, but we see your teaching on every turn. That is what I just wrote for Swami. And I think with that, I will probably take permission of this gathering. It was wonderful to be as a part of this family today. Thank you so much, and Sarah.
Sairam, absolutely simple, straight, uh, can't be more lucid. Uh,
From the heart.
from the heart, yes, and absolutely. I think the sheer fact that we are connecting to every nuance that happens, and we are able to go back to the lessons or the incidents that shaped us or that gave us the conviction is what all of us like to have some form of reiteration or understanding in our journey with Sai. And I think that's probably been brought out in a very, very lucid manner, easy to understand, not heavy high funda where you got to think beyond. It's just being who you are and accepting Swami to be everything in our lives and in every moment of our lives. I think brilliant, brilliant message,
Thank you so much, brother.
very timely, and I'm looking forward to more from the 94, 97 batch. So keep up bringing more on. As I said, we have had the 70s, we have had the 80s, we are having traces of the 90s. We have not gone too many into the 2000s, but the Ambrosia, uh, and I think you guys were absolutely lucky with 94, 97 Swami staying on in Brindavan. And you probably had the record number of thrice sessions that anybody would be envious of, apart from those early batches. Uh, so absolutely wonderful. Thank you so very much, brother, Pavan, would you like to say some words?
Yeah, thanks, brother Vineet. I think the experiences what he narrated is really it's a eye opener. Like, see, like Swami knows each and every student's background, what he requires, what he needs. It is not. It is not. It's a really a love which is a direct connection with Swami, and I'm really, my eyes are really in emotional, kind of a thing where Swami has noticed that this boy is sick, and Swami has created Vibhuti to made him, jovial, and then took him to the picnic so that he will not miss it. When he has refused to take money from his parents, Swami has put bundles of notes in his hand and said, "Am I not a parent? What kind of what else you require? Like a punching lines." I think I'm sure that these things are never ever done by any other person, or I should say, like only the thousands mothers love can only do this for us. So I think really blessed, Vineet, like we are part of your batch, and we all of us are very blessed. And I think I should not leave without commenting on the program Catalyst. Probably the Catalyst program I should explain a little bit is Brother Vineet Basotia is doing excellent work from past 1 decade or 15 years, if I'm not wrong. What he does is the people who have finished the MBAs in our institute. So he conducts a complete like a mock interview session so that all the MBA students are prepared even before the corporate interview takes place. So this kind of a guidance, I think nobody gives as an alumni, taking care of the alumni freshers who's coming out and then prepare them, because this is a cutthroat competition in this world. Once you come out of the portals of Swami's institutes, nobody cares, like, no, you are one of the institute, right? So but Vineet Basotia has started this forum of Catalyst with I think 4 or 5 brothers. It is helping many MBA freshers to get their jobs in many of the very good organizations, like GE, you call it Deloitte, you call it HDFC Bank, HSBC, ICICI Bank. He has done Barclays. He has done excellent work, groundwork, and he is fetching very good results. I'm very proud of this, because this is a brilliant kind of a service which is doing. And hats off to Vinith. Please go on, Sairam.
Yeah, and I think that's Swami's way of getting all of you into all organizations and bringing this message through your actions. I mean, it's been inspiring to have the series of the 94 batch. I think Rakesh Menon was one. We have Amitabh Das. Now we have Vinay. I think we're all excited with the series that's coming about. And I think that's the best thing, right? Giving it back to the way how we received it from him. And that's absolutely selfless. Keep inspiring us. Share with us the poem, if you don't mind, later as a message. I would like to share it with the group. That was beautiful.
I will send it across. And
I-
Pawan, thanks again for Catalyst. The Catalyst is a much bigger initiative with many alumni helping. We were amazed this year when we thought nobody will probably get easy jobs. Almost everybody got placed, and companies like Deloitte hired 16 of our fresh MBAs this year. So Grant
Wow.
Thornton, Deloitte, ENY, KPMG all hired students from our college. So we were very, but that's probably another stream which, if I talk sometimes every year, after all these years, we see miracles just happening. Miracles happen when people's
Absolutely.
life change. So we see it every year.
Absolutely.
I think your lives changed the moment you decided that you were the ones to come and study, right? And he chooses that, and that kind of should give you the conviction whether how you came
Absolutely,
about.
In
brother.
fact,
At least when you
in
leave the
fact,
place, you will.
in a WhatsApp group of Dr. Sundaresan, yesterday there was a speech that he had forwarded by the grandson of Rajmata, in which he talks about the grace. When many sages look forward to darshans, we come as students, and he spends considerable amount of time with us compared to a lot of other people who deserve it. And he was highlighting the grace that Swami has showered on us. And to see things like these, like the Catalyst program, to see things in terms of service activities that many students take up. Not all of us do it, but there are certain people who act as a catalyst and change our own lives as alumni to be part of such service activities. Vineet, you have been a catalyst in not just giving placements to these MBA boys. You have been a catalyst for a lot of us alumni in getting back to the roots of what we belong to.
Yeah, I
We
think
should thank you for that.
yeah, I think it's not just the fact of just keeping and talking about Sai, but to keep it practical and do his work
Yes,
the way he
correct.
has instilled those values in you. And I think that's the biggest thing that one can see with all these, hearing all of you, the experiences, and the inertness in which the transformation has happened in whatever little way, and brings about a very infectious change to all those around. And there's no greater blessing for all of us to be part of this alumni satsang that happens in an informal manner, where we sit down in the veranda, reflecting, reminiscing those wonderful moments with him and the messages that came about in that process. We're so very grateful to all of you to being part of this. And as always, the satsang continues next Sunday with yet another speaker. I have no idea who it is, but we will know when the message goes out to everyone. Brother Vineet, looking forward to the poem so that we can share it with all of them.
Absolutely.
And
I will do that also.
and looking forward to having you also speak to some of the youngsters in Singapore, if we can get that, simply for the fact to show that you don't need a reason to be an instrument in service, doing his work. All you need is to be your own inspiration to do his work. You know what I'm saying? In that sense, if you can talk in the Swami is a friend concept is something that I do not know. Sometimes the topic is decided. One of the things that we were thinking of talking to the young children who have not
Mm.
seen Swami, is not to glorify him to an extent
Yeah.
of calling him a miracle man or who did this and that, but just to instill the value in them to say, hey, you know what? If you need to have a friend who listens and who doesn't have to sometimes just talk back, and he will listen forever if you ever want to talk to him, then Swami should be your friend. And this was the topic that we are trying to focus in the Bal Vikas or the
All
SSC, in
weekends.
the SSC curriculum. And it gives me goosebumps when you start the topic today saying that, let me address this whole conversation where Swami is my friend. So all I can say is every week in the lockdown, it was inspiration. Now it's inspiration to lead, at least in Singapore, is more or less a semi-normal life for us. We're absolutely grateful for that happening. And all these messages reinstill the value that if we keep our contact and connection with him, then we will be able to listen to him because he's always trying to tell us something. It is for us to understand and observe those moments.
Absolutely.
Brother, any opportunity you feel I can contribute, more than happy.
Absolutely,
Let
absolutely.
me know.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. And you have no idea now that your number will be known soon. You are in for quite a few messages. So thanks so very much, Sairam. And we'll finish off Samastaloka, praying that the vaccination works the way everybody is anticipating, and that we build our resistance, at least in overcoming the way life has to move on from now on, and to always hope for the day that things, at least what was normal then, becomes normal again. Or until then, I think it only helps us connect with him more and more. So I don't mind keeping that on, corona or no corona. So let's look forward to the next satsang. We'll finish off with Samastalokas. Sai Ram, and thank you so very much, Brother Vineet. समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु 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 समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
Jai
Sai
Sai
Ram.
Ram.
Have a wonderful week and looking forward to seeing you all next Sunday.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Okay.
Sai Ram.
Bye.